Economic policy think tank, the Hamilton Project, is countering claims that DOGE is saving money for American taxpayers, at least at the rate that DOGE says. It says federal spending this year is on pace to come in at 7.4% higher this year versus last year. Joining us right now on the data is Hamilton Project Director Wendy Edelberg. She's also a Brookings Institution Economic Studies Senior Fellow. And Wendy, this is interesting. Elon Musk and DOGE have talked about how much they've cut from spending. But if you look at the actual Treasury receipts, we have seen spending increase this year. I guess there are a lot of reasons that could explain why numbers have gone up so far and why maybe it's taking some time for the cuts to kick in. But why don't you run through the numbers?
Yeah, first, let me say these numbers are publicly available, which just on the face of it should make you understand that when Musk and folks from DOGE say we don't have transparency and we are bringing transparency to this process, that's just wrong. There's actually enormous transparency into federal outlays, agency by agency, line item by line item. And that's just the data we've been using. What you can see is that cumulatively to date, the amount of money that's gone out the door from the federal government accumulates to about $1.9 trillion. Last year at this time, it was about $1.8 trillion. So we're running a little ahead. That makes sense. The economy grows every year. There's a little bit of inflation. So the numbers, should be a little bit larger. And last year, those cumulated to about $7 trillion to get you a sense of how big these outlays are. So whatever we're hearing in terms of the rhetoric of where these cuts are, and largely speaking, it looks to me like these have been cuts that just, contradict what the will of Congress is. This is not sending money out the door that's been appropriated by Congress. Those are in the singles of billions, which is just an order of magnitude smaller than the total budget.
How much of this could be explained by the idea that, okay, they are asking people to take voluntary leave. They are, in some cases, closing down other agencies or areas, and that this is being challenged in the courts. And so maybe that's been slowed in terms of when you'll see the effects and the results.
That surely could be part of it. And indeed, we're seeing that outlays for federal salaries are basically running at the same pace as last year, so that even to the degree that they are telling people that they're not allowed to come into the office, the paychecks still seem to be flowing. What that means to me is that largely what they've done so far is created chaos for the federal workforce rather than actually reducing the footprint in any appreciable way of how large the federal workforce is. We see the same thing in the claims data. The claims data for federal employees is certainly much higher than it's been, but the numbers are still low relative to the overall economy. So yes, absolutely. I only have data on the money that's gone out the door so far, and we might see big reductions going forward. But on the other hand, there are other categories where we've seen more money going out the door this year relative to last year. So some of these categories won't surprise you: DHS, FEMA, but even commerce. There are categories where we seem to be outlaying more money rather than less.
In terms of the year before, you said it was about $7 trillion that increased over the course of the year?
That's right.
Is that an average or a normal pace? What's a normal pace over the last 10 or 15 years?
No, those are higher than in earlier years, for sure. Again, not only then because the economy grows over time because there's been inflation, but also we have things like an aging population, and a lot of that money is Social Security benefits. A lot of that money is healthcare payments, interest payments. Those are things that are going to grow.
That's got to be a big thing, right?
Yeah, and those are things that are going to be higher in 2024 than in prior years.
How quickly do we get these numbers? Is this a week by week? Is this a monthly data set?
This is a daily Treasury statement. So again, let me emphasize the enormous transparency that we already have in our system. Yes, this is a daily Treasury statement. And what we're doing is just making it really easy for anyone to use these data by going onto our website. But the data themselves are publicly available.